As we pass the marina and the condominiums, I look back and I know that Havre de Grace will be on our to revisit list. Again with the ETA calculator. Now this is a short run. It's only about 19 miles, nautical miles, and we're traveling 19 knots. So it's going to take us approximately 1 hour, and we'll burn 25 gallons of fuel. As we depart Havre de Grace, we'll head down Susquehanna Channel, past Fishing Battery, and into the main channel, and past Turkey Point. Hey Cher, here's Turkey Point Lighthouse. Did you find anything on the internet about that one?
Oh, yes, I did. Turkey Point Light is located in the Elk Neck State Park and was built in 1833. Only the lighthouse and the oil house remain. The keeper's house was torn down by the Coast Guard. This lighthouse was the home of the last woman lighthouse keeper, Fanny Salter.
Heading up the Elk River as we head northeast, we'll pass Cabin John's Creek on the starboard side. It's extremely shallow and filled with debris, so be very careful about entering that area. And next is the Bohemia River with over 7 marinas. This is always a good spot to duck into in case of a storm. As you travel north on the Elk, you'll notice numerous vacation communities with moorings. As we get closer to the C&D, you'll see several range lights. These are used by the large shipping vessels to help keep them centered in the channel. Another thing to keep in mind as we get close to the C&D is that it is a very busy canal. In fact, it's either the second or third busiest in the world. So keep focused on your task at hand. It's also a good idea to switch your radio to channel 13, as that's what the ships use to monitor. And Chesapeake City is just east of the first bridge we go under. As you continue east on the C&D, you'll come to Summit North Marina on the north side, and on the northeast end of the C&D is Delaware City, and just off of that is Peapatch Island.
Peapatch Island is a small island in the center of the Delaware River, about 7/8 of a mile east of the town of Delaware City. We believe it was formed in the early 1700s when a small boat loaded with peas grounded on the shoal area in the middle of the river. The peas spilled out and began to sprout. And the more the peas grew, the more silt they collected from the river, gradually forming an island. The island was a perfect spot to put guns to protect the city of Philadelphia from any enemy coming up the Delaware River. There was a small earthwork fortification built in 1813, replaced by a star fort that lasted about 20 years until it burned to the ground. The present fort began its construction in 1848, was substantially completed in 1859. At that time it was the largest masonry structure in the country, the largest, most modern, and most powerful fortress of its kind. During the Civil War, when the first Confederate prisoners were captured at the Battle of Kernstown, the federal government needed a place to keep the prisoners. The only federal land close by was Fort Delaware, and so they were shipped here to this small island and kept in temporary tents in the parade ground. Later, after the Battle of Gettysburg, many hundreds of prisoners were captured and brought again to Fort Delaware. This overloaded the island considerably, and to that extent, they had to build a number of wooden temporary barracks outside the fort. At its peak, the fort held 12,500 Confederate prisoners of war. They were kept outside the fort, while the barracks building inside the fort housed political prisoners and high-ranking officers. Among the political prisoners was a Reverend Handy, a Presbyterian minister, who was sent to Fort Delaware for making some negative remarks about the North. He served here for 15 months, and during that time he kept a very elaborate diary, which is used to this day to reenact events that happened in 1863 and 1864. At the conclusion of the Civil War, the prisoners were sent back to their home, and the next event which takes place here is the Spanish-American War. To accommodate the larger guns used in the Spanish-American War, a portion of the barracks buildings inside the fort were demolished, and a new concrete structure was added to house 3 12-inch disappearing guns. At the end of the Spanish-American War, no guns having been fired in anger at any time, the fort again was abandoned until World War I. At the outbreak of World War II, all the guns on the island were sold for scrap. At the conclusion of the Second World War, the island was deemed surplus, war surplus, and was ceded back to the state of Delaware. In late 1949, a small group of people headed by W. Emerson Wilson, who was the editor of the local paper, went out to the island to look to see what shape it was in, and were appalled at the conditions. And in January 1950, Mr. Wilson and 14 other gentlemen organized what was and has become the Fort Delaware Society, with the sole purpose of protecting the island and the fort, with promoting it, preserving it, and interpreting activities on the island.
As you travel through the canal, there's no speed limit, except by Chesapeake City, where there is a 6-knot zone and a no-wake zone by Schaefer's. All of the waters, and that's why they have port captains or port pilots. As we prepare to dock at Chesapeake Inn, Sherry has deployed the fenders and is on the bow and ready to dock. I'm happy to see that they had someone waiting for us to assist with docking.